Hello everybody, it's Larry. Okay, in our last video we had just created the simplest child theme of 2016, and we're going to do some edits on that theme in this video. We're going to work on the style sheet at first, and then we're going to bring some files over from the parent and override them in the child. So let's start with our style sheet, and here I have it open in Komodo, and in the last video we had just imported the parent style sheet to make our site look like the parent. So now I'm going to pick out a few things that I want to edit just to kind of demonstrate how you do this. Okay, let's take a look at our style sheet. And we imported our parent style sheet, so all of the parent styles come first, and then our new styles will come afterward, hoping that we will either override or add to existing styles. So to test it out, one of the first things I like to do is a simple thing like body display none. And I suppose we should spell that properly. So I would expect that my page would pretty much disappear. And it does. Okay, so I'm in the right spot. Let's remove that. Let's do something a little bit more practical. And let's change the color of, how about this, our site title. So I'm going to use Chrome Developer Tools, or you can use Firefox's Developer Tools. They're both pretty good. I'm not real crazy about Internet Explorers. And in both Firefox and Chrome, to get to your inspector, you can either right-click and click Inspect, or what I usually do is I hit Control-Shift-I, I standing for Inspector. Okay, and you're going to have to learn how to use these, and pretty soon you'll start using them in your sleep. It's very important that you learn how to examine a web page with these tools. All right, so to get your selector, your element selector active, you click on this icon right here, and then you just kind of hover over things. Try to get as specific as you can. Take some practice. So that's telling me that I'm hovering over this A tag, and on the right pane there are all the styles associated with this particular element. So actually I want to change the color of this. Now this is its hover color, so I don't want to change the hover color. I want to change its basic color. So this tool does use color pickers. And so actually let's click on there and see if we get any results. There I made it maroon or bright red. Actually I like that maroon. Okay, then if I click back in here, if I like that, you know what? Actually I'm going to make that font. I'm going to make that font really big or much bigger. Let's go with 2M. Okay, I like that better. So if I'm happy with that, I carefully copy or highlight this whole piece and copy with Control-C. Go back to my style sheet, paste that in, and save it. So now when I refresh the site, it should look exactly the same. There you go. So actually when I'm changing things in Chrome Developer Tools here, it's not actually saving them to the server. It's just every time I refresh, it would wipe out any of my changes. So what I do is I get some things to look how I like them. I copy and paste them into my style sheet. Okay, so let's do one more simple CSS edit. Let's say this main content area. Let's say I don't want it as wide. I want it narrower. So I kind of look around to see if there's a width assigned to that. No. Main, margin bottom, no. Primary. Okay, here's a width. Now, when I click on this percentage, I can use the up and down arrows on my computer to kind of bring it in gradually. Okay, I'm going to bring it into 50% width. And just to be impractical, I'm going to give it a background color. And let's just say red. Okay, I love that, so I grab this. Now I'm grabbing a few more styles than I need. I only changed the width and the background color. I really don't need to reiterate float left and margin right. So I'll paste that in here. Even though it'll still work, I don't like excessive styles in my style sheet, so I'll delete that and save it, and it should look the same when I refresh. Okay, so those are style edits. I got a feeling when you work in a child theme and actually customize your site, it seems that most of your time is spent in the style sheet, and they can get pretty long, so keep them organized. But next we're going to actually do an edit to one of our other files that'll help us figure out how a child theme works, or how we're supposed to work with a child theme. Okay, before we do that, let's get rid of this ridiculous looking style. All right. Our next task, if we go to my blog page, and probably yours, which is your post page, should show all of your posts, perhaps paginated. Okay, so I don't like the fact that these are showing the whole post. I basically would prefer that they just show an excerpt like this. So how do I do that? Well, my page for posts is actually rendered by index.php. We'll learn more about that when we just study the template hierarchy. So since I know that, I go back to my 2016 theme and I open up index.php, and I look, okay, this within the loop here, this get template part, this is where that actual content is generated. Template parts / content. Let's see, so here's a folder called template parts, and let's take a look in there, and there's a bunch of content files. I'm not sure which one, but I'm pretty sure it's this content.php. So I am going to click on there and look for a function called the content, because I know that's where it spits out all the content of the post. Here it is. I'm going to change this to the excerpt. Now I am editing my parent theme, but I'm going to undo this shortly. Let's just see if that worked to shorten up. We can close this now. And there. Okay, cool. So I did the right thing. Now I got to do this according to the child theme rules, because if I updated my 2016 theme, that edit would be lost. So I'm going to back, Control Z. Whoops. Okay, it's back to just the content, and save it. Now this file I'm going to save in my child theme. So save as a remote file, and we navigate back up to the theme folder and to our child theme. Now this particular file was in a folder called template parts right here. So I actually have to recreate that. So I'm going to add a new folder and put in template-parts. Oops. Okay. I'm going to go into that folder and simply save it still as content.php. Okay, now I can go back and change this to the excerpt. Save. And it should look the same. And they are all just excerpts. Okay, so what's happening here, and this is the rule with the child theme, is that, in fact, it might be better to look in WinSCP. Here's 2016. Here's all these files that are actually still active, even though we're on our child theme. This is the parent theme. However, if we create a file of the same name and with the same name within the child theme, it'll override the one that's in the parent, or actually WordPress will ignore the one that's in the parent. So similarly, if we wanted to change our header, in fact, let's do that. This is probably a little quicker way of doing it. We could take this header file slide it in here, and then go back to our child theme. Slide that up like there. Whoops. Okay. Now let's make sure that did what it's supposed to do. So if I go into my child theme, which is here, if I right click, I can refresh. I just added that new file, header.php, and I open it up. And I sometimes like to use the die statement in PHP to test out if I'm in the right file. And I should expect this to kill the page, basically. And it does. So, great. Okay, so I better go back and remove that die statement. Sometimes I forget. That's not good. And our site should be back up. Okay, so we've added a few styles to our style sheet. We moved a couple files over from our parent theme to our child theme to override the parent theme's behavior. Okay, so there is one more file that I need to talk about, and this one gets handled differently than the rest of them. All these files in the child theme will pretty much replace the files that are in the parent theme. The exception is a file called functions.php. And this is where you're going to write some custom functions. Your exercise this week will involve adding to your child's custom functions.php file. The difference is that this file gets added onto the functions.php in your parent theme. There's a considerable amount of very important functions in this file that pretty much define your theme, so we wouldn't want to override it. We just want to add on to it. So that's what makes the functions.php a little bit different. It doesn't replace the file or the parent file, it just adds on to it. This parent file will load first, and the child functions file will load last. So hopefully that gives you a better idea of what you're going to be doing when you edit your child theme. You're going to be either adding to your style sheet or figuring out which file needs to be edited in your parent theme, making a copy of it, and moving it to your child theme and editing it there. Thank you.